Hello and welcome. Today we're diving into something really important, how we can start to heal the effects of trauma from the inside out. And this isn't going to be just theory. We're literally opening up a toolkit full of practical, safe techniques that you can use to regulate your own nervous system and start to reclaim your sense of self.
Let's just sit with this for a second, because this one little shift in a question is the entire foundation for a compassionate way to heal. It takes us from a place of judgment to a place of genuine understanding. And that perspective, that's the heart of everything we're going to explore together today.
All right, so first things first, we've got to get on the same page about what trauma actually is. Because it's not just about what happened in the past, it's really about how that event continues to echo inside our bodies and our minds long after we're actually safe.
So according to SAMHSA, which is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, trauma isn't just a memory, it's a real ongoing disruption living in the nervous system. The best analogy I've ever heard is it's like a smoke alarm that's gotten stuck in the on position. It's just blaring a warning even when there's no fire.
And this is just a game changer to understand so many of the ways we might react, things like anxiety or feeling numb or getting irritable. These are often brilliant survival strategies that our bodies came up with to get us through something impossible. They make perfect sense. The goal isn't to fight them, but to gently let our nervous system know, hey, the war is over. You can stand down now.
So if the nervous system can get stuck in that on position, how in the world do we help it find the off switch? Well, to figure that out, we've got to look at the science. Why does the body hold on to this stuff so tightly? And what are the built-in pathways we can actually use to help it let go?
Okay, so think of it like this. There are two main roads to healing. Top-down processing is when we use our thoughts, our cognitive brain, to try and calm our body. But with trauma, that's often not enough. We need bottom-up processing. And that means we start with the body's physical sensations to send messages of safety up to the thinking brain.
And that brings us to this fascinating idea called polyvagal theory. All you really need to know is that it highlights something called the vagus nerve, which acts like a master switch for our nervous system. So a lot of the techniques we're about to talk about are designed to gently stimulate this nerve, sending a powerful all-clear signal to your body that helps it shift out of that high-alert state.
Okay, so what do you do in that moment when the distress feels like a total storm inside you? That's where grounding techniques come in. You can think of them as anchors that can hold you steady in the present, right when you need it most. Just think of these as your go-to, in-the-moment first aid kit for when things feel overwhelming, like during a flashback or when you feel really disconnected. Their job is super simple but incredibly powerful. Pull your attention out of the internal storm and plant it firmly in the physical world that's right here, right now.
The 5-4-3-2-1 method is probably one of the most effective grounding tools out there. And you know why it works so well? It's actually pretty simple. It forces your brain to engage all 5 of your senses in the present moment. You literally can't process the sights, sounds, and textures around you while also being totally lost in a memory. It's a fantastic pattern interrupt.
And hey, there are other simple but powerful anchors you can try too. The really intense sensation of holding an ice cube can be an amazing tether to the present. Stomping your feet reminds your body, hey, there's solid ground right here. And even just a simple, firm statement to yourself, I am safe right now, can help reorient your brain.
All right, so grounding brings us back to the present. Now let's go a step deeper with something called somatic exercises. These are those bottom-up techniques we talked about, and they're designed to help release the tension and traumatic energy that can get physically stuck in the body.
The butterfly hug is such a beautiful example of this. It's a simple, portable way you can give yourself a feeling of soothing and safety through a gentle, rhythmic touch that actually engages both sides of your brain. So here's how you do it. You just cross your arms over your chest, placing your hands just below your collarbone. Then you start to tap gently and alternately, kind of like the slow flutter of butterfly wings. This rhythm creates something called bilateral stimulation, which is just a fancy way of saying it helps calm the brain's alarm centers. It can de-escalate that emotional intensity really quickly.
Okay, this slide is really cool because it kind of pulls back the curtain and shows you the why behind the what. It connects each of these tools to its biological purpose. So for example, Wu sounding stimulates that vagus nerve to calm you down. Therapeutic shaking helps your body discharge all that stored up survival energy. And, like we just saw, the butterfly hug uses that bilateral stimulation to dial down distress. Each one of these is a direct conversation with your nervous system.
Healing isn't just a body game, it's also about what's happening upstairs in our minds. So let's shift to some of those top-down tools we can use to gently reshape the stories we tell ourselves about what happened. and about who we are because of it.
Journaling can be so incredibly powerful when it's done with real intention. Now, a prompt like this, look, it's not about just digging up old pain for the sake of it. It's about understanding where it comes from. It helps you gently trace your current emotional patterns back to their roots, which invites compassion for that younger you and for why you feel the way you do today. And this is just a profound act of reparenting yourself. Instead of judging yourself for a reaction, you ask, why does this make sense? This lets your wise adult self step in and offer the validation and the comfort that maybe, just maybe, was missing when that wound was first created.
And you know, the glue that holds all of this work together is self-compassion. The researcher Dr. Kristen Neff breaks it down into these 3 key parts. First, just being mindful of our pain without getting totally swept away by it. Second, remembering that suffering is a shared part of being human. We're not alone. And third, actively choosing to treat yourself with the same warmth you'd offer a dear friend who's hurting.
So, and this is so important to hear, there's no magic bullet here. There just isn't. Healing is a process, and it's definitely not a straight line. It's better to think of these tools not as some finish line you have to cross, but as faithful companions for the journey ahead.
So, if we were to boil it all down, what's the roadmap look like? It's pretty simple, really. You start with safety, always. Then you start to cultivate awareness of your body using those somatic tools. Keep your grounding techniques in your back pocket for the tough moments. Use journaling to gently start rewriting your narrative, and then wrap every single step of it in radical self-compassion.
And this, right here, just perfectly illustrates that idea of common humanity. Whatever it is you're going through, you are not alone in this struggle. And just remembering that is such a powerful antidote to the shame and the isolation that trauma loves to create.
And look, one last thing that is absolutely vital to say is that while these tools are incredibly effective, they are not meant to replace professional care. If you feel stuck, or if things feel too overwhelming, reaching out to a trauma-informed therapist is not a sign of failure. It is a courageous and powerful act of strength. So I'll leave you with this one last thought. Healing isn't about becoming some new person. It's really about coming home to yourself. Your body already holds the wisdom to begin. The only real question is, what is one small, gentle step you can take today to start listening to it?